Welcome back to this Gentle Awareness Through Movement series in the Feldenkrais Awareness Summit. I'm Dorothy Henning, and you can learn more about me and my Feldenkrais practice at integrativemovement.us. The name of this lesson is Breathing You, discovering how you are your breath and your breath is you. Find a place to lie down, either on the floor with a mat or in a bed is fine, and please lie on your back. Find your space where you lie, and also observe the space inside of you. Imagine the space at your chest, on the left and the right. And one way to imagine this space is if you imagine a little point of light that is swirling around like a little trail, makes a little trail of light, and it's swirling around inside along the left side of your chest, just exploring the space there. How much space does it have to swirl around there, your little light ray? Just as a way to define the space. And then do the same on the other side of your chest, letting the light ray swirl around, discovering its space. And then can you have your light ray discover how much space there is in your abdomen? How much space is available there? For it to swirl around as it goes toward the edges and in circles and spirals, just discovering the space available. And observe how you make contact with the floor, behind your chest, your thoracic cage on the floor, the ribs, the shoulder blades, and behind your pelvis, where you were just swirling the light. Where is the back of that swirling area? How do you feel your sacrum or back of your pelvis on the floor? And now, as you're observing your breath, as it softly goes in, softly goes out, how do you know when you are breathing in and when you are breathing out? Do you feel the space in your mouth, the air in your mouth and in your throat as it goes in? Do you feel it enter through your nostrils and into the back of your throat? And do you feel as you breathe out, perhaps there's a little current of air that brushes on your upper lip to know you are breathing out? And as you softly watch your breath and the rise and fall, and next time you breathe out, you notice that sometimes there's just a little pause when you breathe out. And then the next breath just wants to come. It will come on its own. Something very beautiful about our breathing. It can really make the link between the conscious and the unconscious, because if we don't think about it, we are going to breathe. But we can also intentionally influence our breathing if we like. So bring your attention to that breath out and how the next breath wants to come. Can you discover the point in you somewhere of where that next breath begins? Where is the beginning of the next breath, as if it were a spot somewhere. Is it a little below your navel and further inside or higher? Just what area in you is it? As if it were a little seed that suddenly begins and whoosh, and then it grows, it sprouts, and just spreads everywhere. And that's the birth of a breath. With each breath, we have the birth of a breath. And then now, next time that you breathe out softly, feel the birth of a breath and have a soft breath in. At the next inhalation, can you actually hold your breath gently and pause just an amount of time that's nice for you, never too long. When you need to breathe out, just go ahead and breathe out. And you do that at your own pace. And could you be aware the next time that you breathe in and hold your breath when you're full, and notice, where are you holding? How do you hold to not breathe? And then when you next release and stop the holding, what stops holding? How do you do this? Sometimes the way we can find out how we do things is to notice how we let them go. What do we sense? So when you're gently filled with air, and that moment when you let go, what is it that lets go? Is it something in your belly? Or is it around your mid-abdomen, the area of the diaphragm? Or is it something around your throat, at your throat, that lets go? Just discovering, how do you hold? And then let this go and have a rest. And during the rest, just breathe freely and spontaneously, and don't think about your breathing. Letting it all go. And now this time, can you now breathe out? When you breathe out, can you hold your breath at the end of this exhalation? And notice, how do you hold your breath? What holds? And especially notice the moment when you cease to hold and the air begins to fill. What is it that releases? Where does the air fill when you release the holding? And try that once or twice on an exhalation, 1 or 2 more times. Discovering, where do I hold? And what is it that stops holding? Once you allow the air to breathe in again and fill. And now leave that and rest. And of these 2 ways that you have done, you've done it 2 ways now, where you held your breath at your inhalation, and you felt where you were holding, and then released in that moment. And then you held your breath at your exhalation. Do one of these ways seem more familiar to you? Is this perhaps something that may happen to you in your activities during the day? If you were to hold your breath, is it on the inhalation? Is it on the exhalation? And then now, can you gently hold your breath at an inhalation at your chest? So you breathe in your chest, you gently fill it and hold it, and very gently have it contract a little bit, just retreat, but yet not let the air out. And this is something we're not so used to doing, where we're not very accustomed to actually moving the muscles of breathing when we're not breathing. So you have the chest go a little small and then big, and little small and then big, and perhaps the belly moves in response, opposite. And whenever you need to breathe, you just let your air out and continue breathing. Don't hold any longer than is comfortable. And now can you release the air gently from your chest and hold your breath? And can you gently expand the ribs where they just go a little bit bigger and then they let go? And a little bit bigger, using muscles again and an activity that usually it accompanies breathing. So if this is a little hard to figure out or do, you just do it the best you understand it, going easy, no pressure, letting your senses guide you to what is easy. And then perhaps when you're doing this, at one point, of course, you're going to have to breathe. So as you're doing it, say it's the second time or maybe the third time that you've expanded a little, that you actually just allow the breath to go in and allow the chest to expand with the breath, and feel how it bounces back to its large size of just allowing a spreading and an expansion. So you breathe out, and then you gently expand, maybe once, maybe twice, and maybe the third time, you allow the breath to enter in the expansion. We're just presenting these possibilities to our nervous system, possibilities of breathing, and then rest. And notice, how is your breathing after trying some of these different variations? If we present these variations to our nervous system, then during the day, it's as if it just chooses whatever is best for the activity. So we're not telling ourselves how to breathe. We just present these possibilities and help create space. And if we create the space, the air just goes in. Just like after a rain, and there's a little indentation in the ground, and the rain comes down and pours along the ground, and where there's an indentation, it just goes in and forms a puddle. It just fills. And if we create the space within us, the air will just go in. Not forcing, not pushing, but discovering the space. And then now imagine the air that's outside of you. It's in the room, it's in the world. It's this exchange we make with the world that has us as be part of life. The exchange of the air on the outside, and it swirls around, and then it kind of gathers and swirls into your nostrils and goes in, and we take it in. We take in the air from the outside. And it goes into that wide space in the back of your throat, the roof of your mouth. And it swirls down into your throat and down into your chest. And spreads in your chest until it's going down the arms, into your fingers. And it swirls like cool, fresh clouds of air. But fresh air swirling softly, not hard. It just finds the space. And it goes into your lower abdomen and gently pushes toward the lower abdomen and toward your pelvic floor and toward the hip joints, just on the other side of the lower cavity of our abdomen. Just there are the hip joints, and pushes toward there, and then it spreads down through your hip joints and into your legs and your calves and your feet. And then it softly retreats and goes out. This exchange of this fresh air going from outside in the world and going inside you, until it's not as if you are breathing, but it's as if breath is breathing you. That you are your breath. Letting breath breathe you. You are your breath. And this is the end of the lesson.